Let us pray. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of rulers and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of humankind, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important tasks in this land. Let your blessings descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory and to advance the good of those whose interests you have committed to our charge, all which we ask in the name and for the sake of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. Order. 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 I have the following announcements. I have received an adverse report from Parliamentary Legal Committee on the following statutory instruments. Statutory instruments numbers 177, 178, 179, 180, 181, 183, 184, 185, 186, 187, and 188, published in the Gazette during the month of November 2024, and statutory instrument numbers 189, 190, 191, 192, 193, 194, 195, 196, 197, 198, 199, and 200 and 201, published in the Gazette during the month of December 2024. I also have to inform the House that on the 21st of January 2025, Parliament has received a petition from Gerald Matiba, the Executive Director of Christian Legal Society of Zimbabwe, beseeching Parliament enact a law for the provisions of state support for community caregivers and provide for mechanisms of state intervention on community care work. The petition was deemed admissible and has been referred to the Portfolio Committee on Health and Child Care. I also have to inform the House that there will be a half-day workshop to unpack the State Services Pensions Bill HB 9 2024 for all members of Parliament tomorrow, 13 February 2025, starting at 0800 hours AM and ending at 12:30 hours in the multipurpose hall. All members of Parliament are urged to attend. Are there any notices of motion?
Yes, Madam, thank you. I rise to give notice of motion that this House takes note of the report of the delegation to the 16th Conference of Parties to the United Nations COP16 Convention on Biological Diversity, held from 21st of October to the 1st of November 2024 in Cali, Colombia. Thank you.
Thank you. Order. Questions without notice. We have the following ministers in the House. Honorable Mona, Minister of Transport. Honorable Mavunga, Minister of the War Veterans. Honorable Chitando, Minister of Mines and Mining Development. Honorable Deputy Minister of Sports. Honorable Jesiah, Deputy Minister of Health and Child Care. Honorable Kwidini, Deputy Minister of National Housing. Honorable Ncube, and Deputy Minister of Education and Culture, Honorable Gata. We have not received any apologies. Government Chief Whip? Who is the leader of government business today? Order. Order. Honorable Mona is the acting leader of government business. Take the floor. The first honorable member
I
to
have
take
a
the
point
floor.
of order, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Mtsami.
Mwashuma, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, mukaona maminista emwadaidzira apa mashomanene zvakanyanya. Nyaya yemaminista yareketwazve, asi zvinoita ngatei vanhu vacho havatoyaiyi ende havaremeredzi parliament. Tsamba iya yakazi ichanyorwa ndiSpeaker yekuende koronza kuti kudai maminista aremeredzawo parliament inei vechiuya vechipingura mubvunzo, pagadziriswe dambudziko retinoona rekuti maminista eshe neanenge eikombidza kuti miri haisi kuita zvakanaka zuva racho vanouya kana kune state of the nation address, hakuna unolova. Asi kana yeureketwa yenyika yekuti parliament ibvunze mubvunzo, vazhinji vanonga vasiri munoma havakoshesi zuva iri. Zvakaema zvakadini apapo Speaker, uye zvingaitwa sei kuti zvigadziriswe? Ngekuti madeputy ministers, hongu mutemo unoti deputy minister unenge aripo achipingura, asi nyangwe zvikanyaita sei deputy minister haapindi mucabinet. Kana minister akaenda kunze kwenyika, deputy minister haaacti, kunototorwa umwe substantive minister kuacta on behalf of that ministry. Saka kazhinji kacho handishori, asi madeputy minister maanza acho anozoti nesei. Handishori.
Mazvita.
Ndogara pashi.
Mazvita taura ndabva ndapuwa gwaro rine maapology ema-ministers asina kukwanisa kuuya. Mukati order. Mukati meinoimba tina Honorable Deputy Minister of Tourism, Honorable Tongai Mnangagwa. We've received the following apologies. Order. 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 Can we have order in the House? We also have in the House the Honorable Deputy Minister of Justice, Honorable Mazungunye, the Deputy Minister of ICT, Honorable Puti. We have received the following apologies. The Honorable General Retired Dr. Chiwenga, the Vice President, Honorable Retired KCD Mohadi, the Vice President, Honorable Professor Mtuling Moyo, Honorable KD Mnangagwa. Order. 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 My apologies. Honorable Professor Mtuling Ncube. My apologies. The Minister of Finance, Honorable KD Mnangagwa, Deputy Minister of Finance, Honorable H. Moyo, the Deputy Minister of the Veterans of the Liberation Struggle Affairs, Honorable J. Paradza, the Deputy Minister of Environment and Climate and Wildlife, Honorable K. Coventry, the Minister of Sports, Honorable B. Rodzi, the Minister of Tourism, Honorable OCZ Muchinguri Kashiri, the Minister of Defense, Honorable L. Maihlome, the Deputy Minister of Defense, Honorable Mhlanga, the Deputy Minister of Women Affairs, Honorable B. Kabikira, the Deputy Minister of Local Government, Honorable Professor A. Mrira, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honorable C. Sanyatwe, the Deputy Minister of Home Affairs, Honorable Omar Rupi, the Deputy Minister of Information and Publicity, Honorable T.A. Mavetera, the Minister of Information, Communications, Technology, Postal and Courier Services, Honorable P. Kambamura, the Deputy Minister of Mines and Mining Development, Honorable F.M. Shava, the Minister of Higher and Tertiary Education, Honorable S. Vanda, the Deputy Minister of Higher and Tertiary Education, Honorable T. Moyo, the Minister of Primary and Secondary Education, Honorable E. Moyo, the Minister of Public Service, Labor and Social Welfare, Honorable Dina, the Deputy Minister of Public Labor and Social Welfare, Honorable Ndlovu MN, the Minister of Industry and Commerce, Honorable Ara Modi, the Deputy Minister of Industry and Commerce, Honorable Y. Simbanegali, the Deputy Minister of Energy and Power Development, Honorable Haritatos, the Deputy Minister of Lands, and lastly, Honorable D. Marapira, the Deputy Minister of Lands. Order. Questions without notice. The first honorable member to take the floor will be Honorable B. Ganyiwa.
Madam Speaker, let me start by thanking Almighty God for the rains we have been receiving since last year. But it seems like since October last year, when we started receiving the rains across the country, schools across the country have faced a situation whereby their rooftops were blown away by the winds. And this situation did not spare even the constituents I represent.
Honorable Ganyiwa, please proceed to direct your questions to the Honorable Minister you intend to ask.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I was just trying to at least to give.
Please go straight to your order. Please, can you go straight to your question?
The question, Madam Speaker, is that since these schools were affected, we did not see any assistance in terms of replacing or repairing the roofs. So we want to know what is government is doing about that situation. What is exactly taking place?
Your question is directed to which ministry?
I'm directing, obviously, it's going to touch two ministries, that including the ministry. Madam Speaker,
order.
Can you protect me?
Order.
Madam Speaker.
Order. Can you allow Honorable Ganyiwa to be heard in silence?
Madam Speaker.
Order.
The issue of schools falls under two ministries. So when we are asking a question, either it goes to Ministry of Local Government because some of the schools falls under councils.
Okay.
And the schools are under the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education.
Thank you,
so
Honorable.
both of them, they can respond depending to who's supposed to respond.
Can you go straight to the question?
So my question is that since last year, we have not seen any action in terms of repairing these schools, what is the government's policy regarding that issue? Because children are learning outside the classrooms. That's what is my question.
Thank you. Order. Order. This is in the House. Honorable Ziambi. Minister Gata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to thank Honorable Ganiwa for the question, the important question that he's asked on disaster management on our buildings and schools. The Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education would really like to have quality education, and this includes our buildings. So I'll start by telling him the steps that we have in disaster management, because all of them, they are caused by...
Order, 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 order. Honorable members on my left. Order, order, order. Can we have order in the House? We want to allow Honorable Minister to be heard in silence. Order. Order.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So I was saying, I would like to let the House and Honorable Ganiwa on how we manage the disaster, because mostly these are caused by weather, like harsh winds and cyclones that we are experiencing now. On our part as Minister of Primary and Secondary Education, we assess the building and report, because we use the whole of government approach. We do have our emergency protocols that we use in the ministry. And then we have the civil protection unity that is under local government that we go and report to for restoration and repair. But as a ministry, we also have a fund that we do have that is under civil protection that we use to repair these buildings. The first port of call is the local government. That's where the issue is taken care at the local government. So I'll say, as a ministry, we do have school improvement grants that are in collaboration with the government and our partners. At the moment, we are waiting for budget disbursement, and then we'll start looking at them. But mainly, it is under local government. Thank you.
Parliamentary.
Thank you.
I also wanted to know, in preparation on disaster response management, is it possible for the minister to inform this House if there are also mechanisms in terms of providing temporal structure while we are waiting for the long-term response or repair of these affected schools? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, we do have emergency protocols. We do have clear guidelines of how you can go about it on the emergency protocols. You have the DSIs that the school will report to, and then we can take procedures, temporary procedures, that we can close the buildings But in the meantime, we do also have tents that they are there at the Civil Protection Unit, and this is working together with the local government. Thank you.
Supplementary.
Minister vati ivo kune Civil Protection Fund vakataura zvenyaya ye grant ravareva iri. Mubvunzo wangu ndokuti dambudziko iri rakatiwira gore rapera, titori nebudget ranga riri operational. Chakakonesa kuti zvigadzirwe gore rapera chii zvokuti tinomirira disbursement yegore rino iri? Ndichindowedzera mubato wechigaro, tinodazve minista kuti vatijekesere ushamwari hwavanahwo neministry yelocal government. Vaifanira vane position kuti chii chanetsa vatizivise muno mumba nokuti vanoshandidzana. Ndatenda.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Handinangu kuzwa muvhunzo wepolicy pane zvavareketa, asi ndingada kubhuya ukama huripo, ndingada kureketa ukama huripo pakati pe Civil Protection Unit ne Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education. Tinoshanda ne the whole of government approach. Tichishanda ne the whole of government approach, tinenge takabatana kuti Minister of Primary and Secondary Education ne Minister of Local Government zvinenge zvichishanda zviri pamwepo. Koti ndivo vanenge ve Civil Protection Unit ndo vanenge vane mafunds, vatori nemafunds akamirira izvozvo zve-disaster risk management. Saka vanenge vaakudini ndo vanenge vaakurepair.
I'm rising on a point of order, Madam Chair.
Order, Honorable Minister. What is your point of order, Honorable?
Thank you very much. I'm sure about what she is talking about. And she should never be allowed to continue.
Order. Order, Honorable.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I am so sure of what I'm talking about. If you have a supplementary question, Honorable MP, you can supplement. I'll go on. So the Civil Protection Unity is the one that does restoration and repair. And we work together as a whole of government, the Minister of Primary and Secondary Education and local government and Minister of Finance. So I wouldn't know, Ministry of Local Government, they will stand up for themselves. I wouldn't know if they do have the budget at the moment, but they are supposed to have that budget. Thank you.
Supplementary. Ma supplementary akwana. Supplementary.
Supplementary.
Supplementary. Uri speaker eo.
Right. Thank you very much. Can we move on to Honorable Ungwe, T. Ungwe?
Nongana na Minister of Agriculture. Tiri kufara nemvura iri kunaya mazuva anaya. Sanaida kuvunza kuti urongwa hope huripo in place wokuta kuti tikurumidze kuti fertilizer yedu isvike kuvanhu kunyanya kumaruzevha. Tatenda.
Order. Order. Can you respect the questioner? And there's no need for any comments when an honorable member is asked a question, and if you have got an issue, you can ask a supplementary question. The Honorable Minister. Mona?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, ndoda kutenda mvunzo wasumudzwa na Honorable Hungwe une udzamu. Ichokwadi tichida kutenda musiki nemvura yadzoka. Tichitarisirawo kuti goho redu rinenge riri pamusoro mwaka uno. Ndichida kutenda kuti mudare nekuvhurwa kwakaita dare recabinet ndo zvezvimwe zvirongwa nehurukuro dzaivepo maringe nekuti tanga tambodzokera kumashure kuwana fertilizer iyo yatinodira pamusoro inonzi AN muchirungu. Ndichitenda zvikuru nekuzivisa mhuri yeZimbabwe kuti taive nekushomekedza kwe-AN asiko zvino yakauya tinotarisira distribution kugovewa kwe-fertilizer kuchange kuchipfuurira mberi. Zvinova izvo zvinoita kuti zvirimwa zvedu zvaakuda fertilizer zvisazova nekudzokera kumashure. Saka ndinotenda kuti urongwa ihwohwu ndo hwakamisikidzwa negurukota rinoona nezvekurimwa richitaura kuti tava nawo munyika fertilizer yakakwana yakaringana kuti varimi vange vachiona. Ndinotenda zvikuru.
Do not see any request for a supplementary question. I move on to Honorable Vimoyo.
My question goes to the Ministry of Health and Child Welfare. What policy plans has government put in place to alleviate the impact that has been created by the sudden withdrawal of US funding on our health service delivery system, especially in the fight against HIV/AIDS? Thank you.
May the Honorable clarify, is it Ministry of Child Care or Child Welfare? He said Child Welfare.
Thank you, Honorable Joe. I think the Honorable Member has taken note. Can you proceed with your question, please?
Mr. Speaker.
Order. You are not on the chair. My attention was distracted by a point of order, so I need to follow the question properly. And don't tell me kutapeza. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, what policy plans has government put in place to alleviate the impact that has been created by the sudden withdrawal of US funding in our health service delivery system, especially in the fight against the HIV pandemic?
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you also the honorable member for the question he has raised. Yes, it's very true that there might be an impact on the withdrawal of the US aid from WHO. But what I want maybe the honorable member to be aware of with the policies that when the policy is formulated, it's not wholly depending on the other stakeholders which we maybe collaborate with on actually on how to make up the living of our people. But nevertheless, the issue is now as the ministry and the government at large, because we had an agreement and the collaborations with these other stakeholders who have withdrawn the support they were giving us. So now it's now the mandate of the ministry and government to make sure that these funds or these programs which were withdrawn from the ministry now is now all owned by the ministry, such that we can cover the gap which has been left behind by the people who were funding. So in terms of issues of HIV and AIDS, malaria and TB, these were wholly government programs, but then we had stakeholders who came in to fund those programs. So as we speak right now, our technocrats are making sure to see how best can we cover the gap which has been left out by these programs implementers as such, because these came in to feed into our policies as a nation, but not as the policymakers. So as we speak right now, as I said earlier on, that the ministry technocrats are in the process of to find out how best can we come up with possible solutions, especially in budgeting and also human capital, which was affected by these funds which has been withdrawn. So basically on the policy is already there and was existing, but what has been withdrawn is the support which we're given or which we're receiving from these funders. I thank you.
Mubvunzo wangu kuna minister ndiwe kuti taikumbirawo kuti mungotiudza kuti manesi ari kuuya rini, makondomu ari kuuya rini, ma-ARV ari kuuya rini, nekuti tafamba mumakliniki umu, Honorable Mr. Speaker, even kuconstituency kwangu kune maqueue anotyisa nokuda kwekuti USAID yakabvisa manesi ayo. Saka tisati tapererwa nemakondomu nema-ARV, toda kuti Mr. Minister ingotiudzai kuti manesi ari kuuya rini, makondomu ari kuuya rini, ma-ARV ari kuuya rini.
Makondomu egara ekumbani akadzenyu haiva.
The Honorable Minister's response was quite explicit. To the extent that it's work in progress to close the gap resulting from the withdrawal of the funding. And that will include those devices or medical devices that the people so affected require will be addressed through that task force that has been formed by the minister. Thank you. I can't go. Sorry, I didn't recognize you so far away.
Okay.
Honorable
Matambo.
Matambo.
Sure. Ndinokutendai mubati wechigaro, ndinotenda minista nekutaura zvakare kuti tine rubatsiro rwatanga tichiwana. Ndinoda kusimbisa nyaya iyi ndichitenda vanga vachitipa rubatsiro kunyanyise ivo vari kunzi vabvisa aid yavo nyika yeAmerica. Isu seZimbabwe tanga tiri pakati pemasanctions. Ndinotenda zvikuru nekubudisa kuti tine rubatsiro uye nezvatanga tichiwana kubva kuAmerica maita basa.
Order. 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 I respect the honorable members. A statement is not a supplementary question. Please. Follow your standing orders accordingly. Honorable Maburuse.
Transport. Tinotenda chaizvo nomugwagwa watakagadzirirwa nehurumende kubva kuBad Bridge kusvika kuHarare. Zvino herino dambudziko. Minister weTransport, handizivi kuti munourongwa hupi pamakwapa makasiya between Masvingo and Rutenga. Mugwagwa uyoyo hauchagoni kufambika zvachose. Tinohwa kuti ministry yadarika Harare yakananga Chirundu. Ko uku kwamasiya uku munoti kuchagadzigwa rini minister? Ndatenda, Mr. Speaker.
Today we ask for policy. That is, Honorable Maburuse, a specific issue. Unless if your question had been, what's government policy in terms of incomplete roadworks, something like that. But when I don't need your assistance. But because you expect very particular about, the specific areas, this question can be asked by way of a written question. And then the Honorable Minister will be able to answer accordingly.
Ndinotenda mubati wechigaro. Apo ndichingopaso mufananidzo. Asi mubvunzo wangu chaiwo wakaita sematauriro amaita chaiwo. Ndochida kureva chaizvo izvozvo.
Order. Can you ask a written question for next week, please? All right?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Chinoda Kufa. Honorable Chinoda Kufa.
Mazvita mubati wechigaro. Mubvunzo wangu kunoenda kuna Minister ve-War Veterans. Ndingade kuziva kuti hurumende une urongwa hupi pakuedza kusumudzira ugari hwevakarwira rusununguko. Mazvita enyu.
The Honorable Minister.
Mazvita mubati wechigaro. Ndichida kutenda Honorable Chinoda Kufa nemubvunzo wakakosha zvikuru. Ndinoda kutangira paconstitution yedu pachezvayo. Inotaura kuti izvo hurumende itsvake nzira dzaingaita kungava kugadzira mitemo kuona kuti uraramo yema-war veterans yasimudzirwa. Uye ndofunga tine kubva ipapo pakazova neAct ye-Veterans of the Liberation Struggle Act yakaiswa kuti izvo ione kufambisa basa iroro kuti richiitwa rekusimudzira ugari uhu. Saka naizvozvo varwi verusununguko vari kubatsirwa mune nyaya dzekurapwa, nyaya dzekuendeserwa vana kuzvikoro, nyaya dzekuonekwa kuti vanenge vatisiya vavigwa, uye nyaya dzekuti vasimudzikewo mune zveupfumi. Saka naizvozvo pakaiswa fund ye-War Veterans Fund nekuburikidza neAct iyoyo. Takava nema-projects akapuhwa nehurumende ku-Veterans of the Veterans Investment Corporation kuti ikwanise kuita ma-projects iwayo zvigoisa mari ma-comrades vange vachibatsirika. Saka ndinotenda kuti hurumende iri kuita nepainokwanisa, uye vanobatsira vari kubatsirawo zvekare kuona kuti ma-comrades vabatsirika munharaunda dzavanogara. Ndinotenda.
Supplementary.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. As the Minister has rightfully stated, Section 84 of the Constitution of this land stipulates that war veterans or veterans of the liberation struggle must be given due recognition. That means that even the issues that they utter in the public domain must be given due recognition in terms of the constitution of this country. Recently, we have had unsettling sentiments which have been passed by liberation war veterans. Regarding the state of affairs in this country, the state of citizens' livelihoods in this country.
Order.
And they've made a call.
Order. Can you ask your question, please?
What therefore is government's policy?
Can you ask your question as a supplementary question?
This is supplementary.
Please proceed.
Following the sentiments passed by the war veterans in the public domain, what is the ministry doing to ensure that these war veterans are given ear, they are listened to, and they are recognized and their issues are addressed accordingly, particularly where they are calling for resignation of certain senior officers of the government?
Order. For some resignation of certain members has nothing to do with welfare of the war veterans.
Supplementary.
Supplementary. Another supplementary, yes, honorable member. Sorry. Is it working? Thank you. That is why I ruled the honorable. Ye munonzani ndaukanganwa.
Mandikanganwa.
Wongo.
Honorable Susan Matsunga.
Honorable
Pastor Susan Matsunga.
Pastor ani?
Matsunga.
Machuma.
Ongo. Honorable Speaker, don't listen to honorable members.
Chuma.
Machuma isibongo sami.
All right,
Surname yangu
proceed.
Matsunga.
Thank you.
Okay.
Proceed, please.
Okay, maita basa nemukana wamandipa mbato wechigaro. Supplementary yangu yakanangana zvakare ichidzokera kumiririri anoona nezvarwi vehondo kuti hongu kune kunesekana mukuburikidza nekubatsirwa kuri kuitwa vakarwa hondo kana vana vevarwi vehondo. Zviro kwazvo chikonzero ndechekuti mudare muno makambobuda nyaya yekuti kuuye database. Nekuti uri kuona mwana akaita seni, mwana akaberekwa 1979 ari kubuda achiti ndiri muhovheti. Zvinova zviri zvinhu zviri kukanganisa. Saka ndaikumbira mukati medare rino kuti zvakare minista vadzoke vatipe database revanhu chaivo, nokuti taakungoona kutoti chero nesuwo vazukuru vevarwi vehondo taakungobhenefita, taakungozvitiwo mahovheterian. Saka tiri kuda gwaro rinobatsira kuti pavanobatsirwa pazikanwa kuti uyu anga ari chimbwido, uyu anga ari mujibha, zvamazviro kwazvo zvichidzoka muno maita basa mubato wechigaro.
Mubato wechigaro ndichida kutenda honorable Matsunga nenyaya yakanaka yedatabase. Ndingatizvo ndo urongo hwatinahwo ihwohwo kubva pakatangwa nyaya dzevetting, kuchitangwa kuvetwa chikwata chekutanga chemaveterans, the actual ex-combatant. That database riripo nokuti vanenge vatovetwa vaongororwa kuonekwa kuti izvo ava varwi verusununguko zvedu. Asi tichinda pachikwata chakabva kunyoresa muna October chiri kumirira kugazetwa. Reason yegazetting ndeyekuti kana vazoona paine vaduku vakaita saizvozvo kana kuti vanga vasingakodzeri kupinda pamawar collaborators, vanenge vakwanisa kutaura kuti uyo haasi. Asi zvatakawana patsvagurudzo yevaivheta vanotaura kuti vamwe vakanga varichori vaduku panguva yehondo iyoyo ndo vakanga vakwanisa kutuma kunosora nekuda kwekuti vanga vasingafungirwi zvakanyanya nevarungu. Saka naizvozvo ndinobvumirana nazvo kuti database kana tapedza tinounza. Ndatenda.
Supplementary. Maida basa mubato wechigaro ndoda kutenda minista nekutsetsenura zvakanaka pamubvunzo wabvunzwa. Wangu mubvunzo ndowokuti iwo pane urongwa here hwokuti iwo wakavhetwa vana mujibha nana chimbwido wanga vachionawo chouiri kana nyaya yacho yapera.
Ngiyabonga Mr Speaker sir. Supplementary yami ilandela laphana uminister lapha thekhona khona kulama projects ayenziwa ngama war veterans. Besicela ukuthi nxa kuvuma uminister azise iAugust House lay ukuthi yiwapi ama projects akhona ayenziwayo ngama war veterans. Ngiyabonga.
For next week, and I'm sure there will be ample time for the honorable minister to come up with the data so required.
Honorable Speaker, sir. On a point of privilege, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Don't come through the queue. Honorable Marika.
Finance. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to seek clarification on the disbursement of the CDF for the year 2024. I thank you.
Honorable Speaker, sir, let me also thank Honorable Madam Maricano for that very important question which is very emotional, especially to this august house. And with your indulgence, Honorable Speaker, say, working closely with Parliament, if you may kindly allow me to also follow through after this session so that we hear when precisely the fund is going to be dispersed to this august house. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir.
Honorable Nyakuyedzwa.
Maita mwaka uno takawana mvura yakawanda yakakudza zvirimwa zvedu, nerimwe divi ikaparadza mugwagwa yakawanda kumaruwa. Saka mubvunzo wangu uri kuenda kuna Minister of Transport kuti urongwa hupi huri kuitwa nehurumende maringe nekugadzirwa kwemigwagwa yakaparadzwa nemvura. Ndinotenda.
Vanoremekedzwa mutungamiri wedare rino reparliament. Ndotenda zvakare vanoremekedzwa Honorable Nyakuyedzwa. Ichokwadi vaiteerera hurukuro kunyange pakavhurwa dare recabinet nemutungamiri wenyika baba Mnangagwa vakamisikidza kuti tinotenda kuvepo hwemvura, asi kuuyawo kwemvura kune zvinozoparadzwawo mashure mekunge tawana mvura yakati wandei. Ichokwadi migwagwa nezvivakwa zvizhinji zvakawanikwa zvichiparara, asi ndoda kutenda kuti pose panoitika njodzi pane bandiko rinoona nezvenjodzi, zvichireva izvo kuti kutaura kwatiri kuita tine inonzi pachirungu emergency road rehabilitation program 2, iyo yakatanga mugore ra2021 mwedzi wakukadzi zvichienda mberi, asi tichitenda kuti kutanga kwawakaita wakawedzerwa mwaka iwoyo kuti tione kuparadzwa kunenge kwaita mugwagwa. Saka mwaka iwoyo uchaenda kusvika gore rinotevera 2026, zvichireva izvo kuti taakuenda kuhomwe yenyika kunokumbira kuti tivandudze migwagwa yedu, tichibatsirwa nedare rino pamunei muchimisikidza bhajeti kuti tinge tiine mari yekuvandudza migwagwa yedu. Saka ndinotenda kuti hatisi kungomirira ipapo sebandiko reMinistry of Transport, tiri kutsvagawo hama neshamwari zvakare dzekushanda nadzo pachirungu inonzi triple P kuti tinge tichivandudza migwagwa yedu, ingave migwagwa mikuru, ingave migwagwa yekumaruzevha. Asi tinoziva kuti migwagwa mizhinji yekumaruwa inoshanda iri pasi pebandiko yainzi DDF, ndo yakunzi RIDA, kana kuti makanzuro edu ekumaruwa. Hatisi kungomira seministry, tiri kuuya zvakare tichishanda nawo pamwe chete, tichishanda zvakare nebandiko relocal government vanova ndo vanoona nezvenjodzi dzinenge dzawira nyika. Asi ndinotenda kuti homwe iyoyo senyika tinoziva kuti tine homwe imwe chete yatinoti tikawirwa nenzara ndo yatinoenda zvakare. Saka dzimwe dzenguva muchawanikwa nekushushikana kuti matarisiro amunoita kuti tinenge tichifamba nekukasika, dzimwe dzenguva tinotora nguva, asi tinovimbisa mhuri yeZimbabwe kuti tiri kuziva mainjiniya edu ose anomirira mativi ose ari 10 aripo kuti vatsvakurudze migwagwa yakafa kudaro. Ndinotenda.
Mazvita Mr. Speaker say tinotenda zvikuru nemhinduro yapiwa naHonorable Minister wedu weTransport. Honorable Speaker say tine zvivakwa zvakaparadzwa zvane ma8 years zvakaparadzwa nemvura. Urongwa hupi hwavanahwo kuti vange vachigadzirisa? Tine mabridge akaparadziwa like ma-constituencies edu akapararira zvakaparadzwa kudhara zvane 8 years zvisati zvagadziriswa. Urongwa hwahwo hwakamira sei kuti vagadzirise zvakaita semabridge iyayo? Mazvita imi.
Vanoremekedzwa mutungamiri wedare rino reparliament, ndotenda zvakare vanoremekedzwa Honorable Show. Ichokwadi tine dutu mupengo yakati wandei yakatevera mumashure tisingangotarisira nyaya yecyclone Idai. Tinoziva taive na cyclone Eileen vakauya vachiparadza zvivakwa zvedu. Ichokwadi tine zvimwe zvivakwa zvakadaro zvisati zvamisikidzwa. Ndinotenda kuti kunobva Honorable Show nofunga vazongozeza havo kutaura nemazita, asi vane bridge ravo ravanoshushikana navo rinonzi Jeka. Ndinovavimbisa kuti tinaro zvakare rakatorwa makore mamwe chete avataura iwayo. Ndo mamwe atinawo kubandiko redu reMinistry of Transport kuti tiri kuuya tichiona muprovince yoga yoga mabridge akatorwa iwayo kwenguva yakareba kuti tishande pamwe chete neRIDA, toshanda pamwe chete nema-rural district councils kuti tinge tichivandudza zvivakwa izvozvo. Ndokumbirawo zvakare kudare rino vanoremekedzwa mutungamiri weparliament kuti dzimwe dzenguva kana tine zvivakwa zvatinoziva patineta kutsvakurudza mari yekuti tivandudze zvakakosha zvivakwa izvozvo zvipinzwe kuitira kuti tigarewo isu veministry taane homwe yekuvandudza zvivakwa izvozvo. Ndinotenda.
Agenda supplementary.
Mr. Speaker. Ndoda kutenda ini ndiri kuda kuti ndinyatsonzwa nekuti takambokurukura maringe nekugadzira mirato inonzi mirato iya yakachipa kudarika mari inopinda pabridge kuti vana vanoenda kuzvikoro varege kurovha kuzvikoro vanofanira kufamba nemirato, asi tiri kuonana nhasi mirato haisi kugadzirwa. Hurumende wepolisi iri kuti kudii maringe netumirato itwotu?
Mutungamiri wedare rino reparliament ndotenda zvakare vanoremekedzwa Honorable Mashonganyika. Ichokwadi vanoremekedzwa mutungamiri wedare rino kuti dzimwe dzenguva vana vedu vanotadza kuyambuka mazambuko nekuda kwemvura inenge yati wandei mumwaka watiri. Asi ndodzoka zvakare kudare rino kuti bandiko reMinistry of Transport harine bandiko rinonzi Department of Roads pachirungu rinoshanda richiona nezvemugwagwa, asi handiro bedzi bandiko rinoona nezvemugwagwa. Tikaenda kumaruwa tine mabandiko mairi anonyanya kuwanikwa ikoko, inonzi Rural District Council ine mainjiniya anoona nezvemugwagwa, tine inonzi RIDA ine mainjiniya anoona nezvemugwagwa. Saka mukaona mubvunzo wasumudzwa na honorable member, zvinoreva izvo kuti dzimwe dzenguva isu vamiririri venzvimbo idzodzo nemakanselas venzvimbo idzodzo zvinoda kuti tiise musoro pamwe chete tisati tatarisira kuhurumende kuti chivakwa mirato yavari kutaura iyi inoda here kunge ichibva kuhomwe yenyika, kana kuti tikaisa musoro pamwe chete vana vedu vanoona pekuyambuka. Saka dzimwe dzenguva tinotadza kunge tichiziva nzvimbo dzakadaro, tokumbirawo kwamuri kuti mutizivise musati mavaka kunyangwe pachezvenyu. Tinotumira mainjiniya edu kuitira kuti vana vedu havazowira pakati perwizi mavaka chivakwa chisina kusimba. Votiudza kuti zvinovakika here kuti vanhu vange vachiyambuka nenzira iyoyo. Saka ndotenda kuti nekuda kwedambudziko ngatiisei musoro pamwe chete. Kana tiine nzvimbo dzatinoziva kuti nguva yemvura vana vedu havayambuke, tinotuma mainjiniya edu. Ndakambomisikidza mudare rino kuti province yega yega ina anonzi provincial road engineer amunofanira kunge muchiziva. Musati masvika kudare kuno mukaona dambudziko munomutsvaga oona okuudzai kuti zvechokwadi zvatinoda kuvaka pano hazvina njodzi kuvana vedu vanezenge vachiyambuka panzvimbo iyoyo. Ndinotenda.
Ngasomlomo ngethuba onginika lona. Kuke kwabikwa lapha umphathi ntambo wezomgwaqo ukuthi umgwaqo ohlanganisa iFolos la koBulawayo usuthole umuntu ozawulungisa. Kambe kungabe sokuhambe okunganani umphathi ntambo? Ngiyabonga.
Umbuzo ukudli guma. Kumele ulobe phansi wenzela ukuthi lithole impendulo iviki ezayo. Ngiyabonga. Honorable Chidua.
My question is directed to the Minister of Information, Communication Technology, Postal and Courier Services. What's government policy towards achieving consistent and reliable mobile network connectivity in the country as a part of promoting financial inclusion?
Minister of Information, the question is directed to you. I think you're slightly distracted. If you can listen. Can you repeat your question? I could see the Honorable Minister was having some little tete-a-tete with his colleague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. What's government policy towards achieving 100% consistent and reliable mobile network connectivity in the country as a part of promoting financial inclusion?
The Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Let me thank Honorable Chidua for a very good question, which relates to the issue of financial inclusion as enabled by robust ICT, or rather connectivity, across the country. Mr. Speaker, sir, the government has got a deliberate program to deploy base stations in the peripheral areas of the country. And I'm aware that my colleagues here in the House may have seen such deployments of towers in border areas. Also, government through the Universal Service Fund ensures that there are base stations deployed across the country in underserved and unserved areas. The Universal Service Fund has so far ensured deployment of 14 base stations through a project that seeks to redeploy towers from co-located areas to areas that are not covered. Government embraced also an infrastructure sharing program which allows for all players, mostly mobile network operators, to share and converge in a single infrastructure for the purposes of consumers and satisfaction of service. Mr. Speaker, sir, just for record, let me share that His Excellency the President of Zimbabwe, Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa, last year in December, launched 276 base stations by a single mobile network operator through a program known as Mobile Broadband Phase 3, through which he ensured funding himself in 2022. Also, the 40 base stations that I made mention of earlier, they were done by the same mobile network operator and are 5G network deployment. The last, the 14 USF-funded ones. Let me conclude by mentioning the coming into the game of the new kid in the block, the low Earth orbit satellite network that ensured some relief in virtually underserved areas where we have seen other players having been licensed a few months ago to the relief of many. So all these, they converge to make meaning the efficiency that our people can enjoy in the space of financial inclusion, as financial inclusion itself is pivoted on an efficient and robust network deployment. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir.
To deploy base stations in areas they deem to be uneconomic. And I wanted to find out what's the position of the government to service those areas that are deemed uneconomic by mobile operators.
Sir. It is basic business sense that one cannot deploy where there is no economic benefit. The purpose of which there is Universal Service Fund administered through the Postal and Telecommunications Regulatory, which seeks to close in the gaps where the issue of making economic sense would have been observed by mobile network operators. Let me repeat to say, because some mobile network operators will deliberately not want to invest in areas
that don't make economic sense to them. Therefore, the fund seeks to deploy bandwidth or network to those places that have been shunned for that reason. If need be, I can give you an example of one place in the country which suffered that black spot status for many years because it falls in between 2 districts and 2 provinces and a conservancy or a game area, and that is a place that falls in between Mashingo and Mat South, Chiredzi and Bait Bridge, and it's called Chikwalakwala. Because of the Universal Service Fund, Chikwalakwala today enjoys network provided through the fund for purposes of identifying those areas that will be shunned by mobile network operators for not making economic sense. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir.
Supplementary.
Honorable Engineer Magwa.
Mazvita mubato wechigaro. Mr. Speaker, sir, mubvunzo wangu wokututsira kuna Honorable Minister. Honorable Speaker, pane urongwa, pane policy yakaitwa negovernment yokuti network providers ayanga achishare infrastructure. Tiri kuona kuti kune dzimwe nzvimbo dzichine network yerimwe, for example net1 but econet inenge isiko. Urongwa hwipi hwamunahwo hwokuti muite kuti kove econet kuti ve net1 vange vachishare infrastructure inenge iri kune dzimwe nzvimbo mazvita imi?
The Honorable Minister. Speaker, sir, and thank you, Honorable Joe, for a good question. The policy of infrastructure sharing was not taken wholly upon proposal. There are other operators who felt like they had invested more than others, and ordinarily they thought that this policy was to benefit other players at their expense. However, I'm happy to report to this august House that with time, this policy was embraced by all operators. And the pace at which the infrastructure sharing project has been uptaken is very pleasing. I am aware that there are some places where other operators would have a tower and others would take time to go there and install their active equipment. At the moment, it's a question of choice. It is not good policy to force operators without understanding their economic status or meaning to say they should deploy wherever there are towers. We have 3 mobile network operators in the country, and they are not the same in terms of their share of the market. However, I want to assure you, Honorable, through you, Mr. Speaker, sir, that the program has been gaining a lot of traction, and we have seen the operators working cordially together and inviting each other and sharing expenses in terms of energy, in terms of every other security and other necessary issues regarding the existence of a tower. So I want to assure this august House that the policy was taken up very well, and the pace at which it's being implemented is so far very pleasing. It gives me hope that wherever there is no deployment yet by other MNOs to where others have their base stations, something will happen very soon. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable Engineer Magwa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you to the Minister for the detailed response to one dimension of universal access and connectivity. The second dimension that I want to ask the Minister is, even those that are connected, there is still the challenge of cost. The cost is still exorbitant in terms of our data, in terms of our core rate. And the second thing is, elsewhere in the world, if you have had bulk purchase of data, you are allowed, after the 30 days of fair use, you are allowed a grace period of another 30 to 60 days which is not the case currently. What is being done by government to allow that the operators are fair to the users? I so submit.
Yes. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you, Honorable, for the question. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is unethical for operators to behave as such. Let me hasten to point out that the existence of the regulator is to plug out such vices in the operations of our operators. I have not received anything so far with regards such tendencies, but it's something that we have had in our multi-stakeholders engagements through other consumer watchdogs and other service providers. Let me take note of it and take it up with the regulator and have us open our eyes wider into such to ensure that it does not happen. It is robbery to unsuspecting consumers, and it is not to be allowed in this government and through such a delicate space as the space of data and bandwidth. You have not provided a specific instance in which such happened, but this suffices to say we will then engage the regulator to look closely at how these issues are being administered. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Bvunzo wangu wakananga kubazi rinoona nezvedzidzo dzeprimary nesecondary education. Tiri kunzwa kubva kuvana vechikoro, vadzidzisi nemapepanhau kuti gore rino kune madzidziro masva ari muzvikoro maringe neiri kunzi heritage based curriculum. Mubvunzo wangu woti urongwa hupi hune hurumende hwokubatsira kunyanya vadzidzisi kuti vavandudzike mubasa ravo mukudzidzisa madzidzisiro matsva new heritage curriculum. Maitai.
The Honorable Minister of Primary and Secondary Education.
Ndinobonga mubati wechigaro. Nditendedzei ndibonge Honorable Phiri ngemubvunzo wavabvunza. Mapipiri. Chekutanga ndinoda kuti tine inozwi heritage based curriculum. Ndo yatanayo zvinezvi. Yatino inobata kubva ku ECDA atei form 6. Saka curriculum iri kutorera yei ashidzana ne color continuous learning. Saka zvatiri kuita teacher development capacity. Kubatsiridza teachers edu eshe kuti vange vachiziya kuenda kotrainwa, kuti vange vachiziya maringe neheritage based curriculum yatinayo. Tine framework yatinayo yatakavatumira veshe maticha vanayo, hapana chikoro chisina. Vari kuenda by groups vachienda koitwa capacitate kuti vaziye. Tangosarirwa basi ne1 Mat South ichaitwa musi wa 17 February. Asi vamweni veshe, all the provinces, vakaitwa teacher development esa akaitwa. Tinotenda.
Supplementary. Supplementary yenyu Minister nemhinduro yamapa. Mbunzo wangu uri kuti trainings aya aisafanira kunge akatanga kuitwa here tisati introduce new curriculum iyi. Pane kuti introduce vamwe vatanga kudzidza kubva muna January muna February, asi tiri kuti pane maticha mamwe asati aenda kunodzidziswa. Maita yenyu.
Ndakataura inini kuti remekedzai rurimi rwamai.
Kuintroduce zvinoreva kuparura.
Inga magona one. Honorable Minister.
Chigaro. Ichokwadi gwinyiso kuti maticha edu akwenda zvinezvi teacher redevelopment training yatiri kuita vakatotanga pakatanga kuintroducwa heritage based curriculum last year vanga vachitoenda
rurimi rwamai ngatushandiswe zvakakwana.
Sorry mubato wechigaro. Iyi yatakutoita iyi kwakupetukirazve. Iyi kwakutopetukirazve asi maticha ari kuramba achienda kuenda kofundiswa zvekuti heritage based curriculum inoshanda yakadini. Saka ndizvona zvandareketa zvekuti vari kuenda vachidini vari kuenda vachienda kofundiswazve asi kana muine bonini iri specific mwaizotironzera kuti tiende kozviningirisisa.
Supplementary.
Maita enyu Sachigaro. Ndiri kuda kutenda gurukota nekutsanangura kwaraita nyaya yekuti wadzidziswe zvidzidzo zvekugona kudzidzisa. Mubvunzo wangu wakatarisana nezvidzidzo zvemitambo muzvikoro. Kazhinji kacho unoona kuti kana uri mutambo wenhabvu wana vanongodzidziswa naticha wechirume kana kuti mudzidzisi wechirume anenge asina kumbodzidza zvidzidzo zvekudzidzisa vana kutamba bhora. Tozotarisa muno mune vatambi vakaita mukurumbira vachitambira zvikwata zvepamusoro-soro wakurarama upenyu hwekutambura vanogona kutorwa kuti vachizonodzidzisa muzvikoro mitambo yakasiyana-siyana yavakambotamba vakaita mukurumbira nayo, kwete kuti kungotorwa mudzidzisi wega anozi iwe chifundisa
point of order
madzimai. Saka mubvunzo wangu
point of order
zviriko here muhurongwa hwawo hwehurumende takanangana nekudzidzisa vadzidzisi mazvita.
Mubvunzo wokutanga wanga usina kunangana nezvemutambo. Mubvunzo wenyu watsweyama. Last supplementary.
Supplementary.
Yes, Honorable Member.
And I would like to thank the Minister for her response. I wanted to check in terms of the teaching and learning materials. We have noted that the schools have opened for over 3 weeks now, but there are no prescribed textbooks with regards to the heritage-based curriculum. My question, therefore, is what arrangements are there within the ministry to ensure that the schools have the requisite textbooks to execute the new curriculum? I thank you.
Chair, the textbooks that we were using for the before curriculum, color, the information that is there doesn't go stale. It is the same. We are picking up from it. We have just enhanced the color to make it heritage-based curriculum. So you will find that the textbooks that we have already, they are not offline. But we are making efforts. They are there already, textbooks. They might not be in all schools as we speak, but they are there because it is a process. But if you have any particular school that you would like to request for textbooks, please would you kindly put it in writing and bring it to the ministry. Thank you.
So a supplementary question goes to our Honorable Minister. I want to ask if she can confirm in this House that the textbooks that are being used in the new heritage-based curricula are the same textbooks that have been used before. It's very important, Honorable Speaker, because we have received various complaints on parents being asked to buy new textbooks. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. I can confirm that the information doesn't go stale. So the textbooks that we were using before, and the textbooks, it is the same knowledge, it is the same education. It has been enhanced. So those textbooks, they still can be used, but with additional information. But I can confirm that we still can use them. Information doesn't go stale.
A point of order, Mr. Speaker, sir.
In smuggling and illicit financial flows, I want to applaud the Minister of Finance, Minister of Industry and Commerce, Zimbabwe, and other stakeholders for the stance that they have taken, especially against smuggling through heavy-handed anti-smuggling campaigns. However, some business owners are worried that in as much as the revenue administrator, all right, however, other business owners are worried that in as much as the revenue administrator is enhancing compliance, some shops, especially the SMEs, are closing. Is there a way, or what is the government doing to try and balance enhancing compliance and survival of small firms? This question is directed to either the Minister of Finance or Minister of Industry and Commerce if he is there. Thank you.
Order. I am going to call upon the Minister of Women Affairs, Small and Medium Enterprises to respond.
We have seen that in this country, the macro, small and medium enterprises are playing a very important role, a key role in terms of job creation, in terms of putting money on the table, sending children to school, in terms of even bringing money on the gross domestic product, GDP of the country. The issue of compliance is what we are concerned about. We need to provide a service to the macro, small and medium enterprises. And when I talk of providing service, once you provide a service, in this particular case, government is trying what it can do to provide workspace. Because once you provide workspace, what that means is the macro, small and medium enterprises have got a permanent address. The Ministry of Treasury can actually collect taxes. The local authorities, and we are imploring to the local authorities to provide land to SMEs so that at least they can build their SMEs state-of-the-art shopping malls. We want our SMEs to be selling whatever wares they have in a decent workspace. You have already seen.
There is order in the House.
Let me proceed. I was actually waiting to what exactly he's talking about. requirements. That is paying tax, that is paying levies, that is making sure they are registered. And so as a government, what we are doing to make sure that happens is to provide workspace for our SMEs, is to provide digital money so that at least money will circulate within the banks. We is to provide POS machines so that most of our people can buy this in Swahili. So this is what we are talking about, is providing service so that the SMEs can comply. They are ready to comply. The SMEs in this country are very well organized. They've got structures all the way from the top to the bottom. And when we talk of SMEs in this country, remember the medium enterprises in this country, we are talking about a company which has 70 workers and below. And we all know that there are so many companies in this country who are doing so well for the economy of this country, who are actually called SMEs. So I hope when we talk about compliance, we are aware of the fact that there is a number of companies who are already complying, who are paying their statutory requirements, but what the others, what we call those who the vendors, is a question of registering them. And as a ministry, we are actually registering all those who are vendors, traders, so that they can comply. So the issue of compliance is actually the issue we are concerned about. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Supplementary question, Honourable Joy.
I want to understand if there is going to be an engagement between her ministry and the Minister of Finance and Minister of Industry and Commerce, maybe to try and strike a balance on the instrument that they are using, especially in the anti-smuggling campaign, so that there is a balance between enforcement and SME survival. Thank you.
Order, Honourable Mangwa.
That I hope it was trying to clarify this. When we speak about, I don't know the balance which is talking about, maybe I can't say it, but there has to be a balance. You cannot be chasing after SMEs for tax without providing them a service. And the service which we are providing in SMEs Act speak to the fact of providing workspace. And I want to just tell Honourable Member that where government has worked hard with other city authorities who have been actually partnering with us, we have built very good SMEs shopping malls, where we see our SMEs working so well, abiding by the laws of the local authority, also paying their statutory requirements like tax, levies, and all that. So we have to balance. It's not about chasing them. We also don't want people to be sending all over the places. We have to be concerned about our health issues. So these are issues we work together with the Ministry of Health, we work together with local government, we also work with national housing. As we are working at the Zimbabwe, you have seen what is happening there. The government is making sure that we develop that place. We want to have an upmarket market where we can actually have all our traders working in a decent place, and at the same time where they can be able to bank. The new market which has been built in Zimbabwe do actually have a bank right there, so that at least the traders can bank and money can circulate. The idea is to make sure that it's not to demonize the SMEs, it's not to demonize the mothers and the young people who are selling, who are putting food on the table, but it's to make sure that we provide that service. That's what I'm talking about. That's the balance. Then, of course, enforcement is very important because we also need the tax revenue. This is the money which we want to use to develop this country to achieve it in 2030. So there is a balance. We provide service, and the SMEs will help out to then pay the levies and the revenue which the Ministry of Finance requires. I hope I have explained it. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
My SMEs atinawo, Madam Speaker, vanotambudzika kubva kure nezvinhu zvavanonoteka kunze kwenyika. Vazhinji vacho vari compliant, Madam Speaker, vanenge vatori nematest claims akakwana zvinhu zvakakwana. Asi munzira yavanofamba, Madam Speaker, vachibva kumabhodha uko, vanomiswa kateini, ndopamenzanzo kubva Bed Bridge. Unomiswa kateini uchivhundusirwa, tipe mari, kana usina kubudisa mari dzokera, hauna kusicha zvakanaka. Tibatsireiwo minister, ndeipa matana amunawo kuti as much as tichida compliance, tibatsireiwo minister kuti vanhu vedu vashandewo mpise, vaone nguva
Point of
yekushanda.
order, Madam Speaker.
Ndatenda, Madam Speaker.
What is your point of order, Honorable
Mvunzo wacho inanda kuudzwa ini.
Minister, I will not give you the opportunity to respond to this question because the honorable member is speaking about hearsay and yes, there is no,
no, Madam
policy
Speaker.
question.
Madam
there.
Speaker, where the meetings here in Parliament.
Honorable Madzwanyika.
No, Madam Speaker, it's not fair.
Order. Honorable Madzwanyika. To begin with, we need to give you the opportunity to.
It's not the hearsay. I want to correct you, Madam Speaker. It's not the hearsay.
Order.
Point of order, Madam Speaker, ma'am.
What is your point of order, Honorable Makumire?
Point of order yangu mbato wachigaro ndeyokuti tiri muno mumusha munomu tinomiririra vanhu nezvitemo zvavo vakatituma kunoko. Vanhu vanosangana nematambudziko aya
What is your point of order?
Tenderai
Order, Honorable Makumire.
Point of order yangu mbato wachigaro.
Order, Honorable Makumire. Can you take your seat? The next honorable member to take the floor is Honorable Pinduka.
Madam Speaker, ma'am.
Order, Honorable Makumire. Honorable Pinduka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, ma'am. Postal and Courier Services. Madam Speaker, ma'am, in the context of leaving no one and no place behind as put forth by His Excellency, the President, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa.
Order. Please note that the microphones are not working properly, and we need to allow the honorable member to be heard in silence. The honorable ministers will need to pay attention to the questions. So can we have order? Honorable Pinduka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, ma'am. My question is directed to the Minister of Information, Communication Technology, Postal and Courier Services. Madam Speaker, ma'am, in the context of leaving no one and no place behind as put forth by His Excellency, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, what is the policy position and strategy that the government is also taking in narrowing down and reducing the gap between rural and urban schools with regards to information communication technology infrastructure provision so that most rural schools catch up with their urban counterparts and as well connect with the rest of the world? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, ma'am. And thank you to the honorable member for a very important question. The Ministry of ICT, Postal and Courier Services and the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education in 2021 worked together and had Cabinet approve what was known as the e-learning strategy, which is still running under the National Development Strategy 1. And in the e-learning strategy, the two ministries work together, one ensuring deployment of ICT gadgets as well as provision of bandwidth in most cases, and the other being the implementer. In this strategy, the two ministries have seen deployment of ICT gadgets deliberately focusing on the rural schools. In this strategy as well, government through the able leadership of His Excellency, the President, directed that the Universal Service Fund be used to assist in the deployment of bandwidth to assist schools access connectivity. And this project saw a robust deployment of bandwidth to many schools, most of which were rural schools, free of charge for a period of 1 year. Thereafter which schools would then engage with designated service providers to carry on with subscriptions. Madam Speaker, sir, let me also highlight that the Ministry of ICT, Postal and Courier Services today has developed a paper through which they seek to engage the Ministry of Energy and Power Development, the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, to come together to agree on a strategy that seeks to mandate the other two ministries to see to it that, number one, the Ministry of Power and of Energy and Power Development ensures electricity connections in all schools in Zimbabwe, because this affects mostly the rural schools. Number two, that the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education should take over the responsibility of educating our facilitators throughout the country on the importance of, number one, internet, number two, computer learning and teaching. We have seen deployment of gadgets, and we have seen thieves following up on those gadgets to steal very easily. In most cases, those gadgets will not be even in strong rooms. This tells us as a ministry and as a government that there is not adequate information and knowledge and value attached by other players in the importance of a computer today and digital literacy in this world. Madam Speaker, let me conclude by highlighting that we seek to propose to the other ministries, one responsible for higher and tertiary education and the other responsible for skills audit, to make sure that it becomes a government position that there be a deliberate approach, planned and sustained, to churn out teachers or educators who have special bias in the area of ICT teaching. Most of these gadgets are provided to schools, bandwidth and everything, connectivity. But in some and most of these schools, especially in rural areas, there is no deployment of qualified personnel to teach that specialized area. I submit, Madam Speaker.